Hi there, welcome to the MMJ 2000, first year, what is it, January 2018, first blog for the new year. Daniel Hastings here, I'm joined by David Geary as well.
There you go.
And just wanted to cover a few of our normal things. David, you had some, you've rustled up, you're the statistics man in this duet. Mate, what have you come up with for the so far?
Sure, mate, sure. Market data. Just letting you know about the market data in the area. We've noticed that there'll be a graph showing up here now that in between 2016 and 2017, unit prices have had a steady growth, but not as much as the housing, which is amazing. Housing hasn't changed a great deal. It's still following that same trend.
Yep.
And continuing to grow a lot more than the unit market. That could be also about supply and demand with the amount of development happening in the area. Mm-hmm. Also, if you look at another graph or pie chart we're putting up now as well, that there's an interesting statistic that around 60% of all people living around the city of Wollongong are leasing. Which I never knew that, and actually I was interesting. I read two journals this morning about it as well. So 60%, so you've got 40% occupancy, and you probably think that might be because of the price range and the younger groups wanting to live in the area for work and things like that as well.
Sure.
So very interesting statistic. Another thing as well about the median pricing in the area as well. Wollongong just generally, I'm not talking about the whole of Illawarra, it's some statistic for Wollongong. The median pricing on two sites actually did vary, I'm sorry, but it said around 800,000 to 875 was the median pricing. The other interesting statistic from last blogs was that 49 days on the market now.
Yeah, a lot longer in fairness than what we saw before. I think you see that happening a lot more. There's certainly a lot more property staying on a lot longer, and I think we spoke about it before, Dave. A very balanced market we're seeing at the moment. I think from a seller's perspective, I think you've got to look at the longer term, and certainly I would suggest it's still a very workable market.
It is.
People have obviously been used to 3 to 4 years of crazy growth and a very favourable environment for the seller against the buyer. But now I think sellers can still feel like, okay, when you look at the bigger picture, it's certainly still sellable and results are still there to be had. But I think in fairness, the buyers can feel like they've got more of an opportunity now, less competition, and we haven't seen a huge supply yet, I don't think, of stock in general. Obviously we've seen some supply increases in the unit market because we've certainly had some new developments, etc. happen as well. So in that regard, sure, maybe a little bit more supply, but I think when you're looking at normal house sales and so forth, she's pretty balanced, I think. I don't think it's huge supply and therefore going to maintain a pretty workable market, I think, for the foreseeable future at least.
The other thing is that for the start of this year, it's been very good statistics that there is actually 76% clearance rates on the auctions at the moment, which
healthy.
is very, very healthy.
Very healthy.
And there's been, this beginning of the year, 37 properties in the Wollongong area that have been sold.
Right.
So there's a good positive as well.
Absolutely.
Got some auctions coming up, Daniel?
Yeah, we do. A good start to the new year in that regard. Probably a few people holding off their listings until the new year. We've certainly had a very good response with a couple of our auctions, being at 102 Carter's Lane in Ferry Meadow, which
great location.
Great location, across from Thomas Dalton Park. Certainly proximity to the beach. The city, and certainly credit to the owners, they've tastefully renovated that property in the last, say, couple of years as well. So certainly if you're looking in those Ferry Meadow, verging on Taraji type locations, then that's a really nice opportunity there. You've also got a really unique opportunity, being probably the last block of land in one of the most renowned streets in the Illawarra, not just in Mangaton, but being number 21 Eastern Avenue. Really gently sloped site, good street frontage, and it would be a wonderful home site there. So if you're looking to do your own thing in one of the premium locales of the Illawarra, that's certainly one to grab too. David, you got one in Mount Ousa coming up as well.
I do. I've got the first open this weekend up in number 8 Dumfries Avenue. Dumfries is an old-fashioned house, perfect for that first-home buyer who wants, or someone who wants to do a renovation. House is quite livable, quite nice, north-facing backyard, still got plenty of potential. Great location, still close to the city. That said, it's priced right right, it's a builder's guide at 675,000, which is quite good for that area. So I think it'll be a great opportunity for either a first home buyer, a renovator, or someone who's looking to live in there and wants to say, look, I can't find something just right, I'll do this one up and I'll still have a great home.
Yeah, good established location, close to the city still, of course, as well. Commuters can get straight up to Sydney, no problem at all. So yeah, no, really good points for that property as well.
All right.
I think that's about it.
That's a wrap.
Thanks again for joining us. We'll see you next time.